I will do what is comfortable.
Yes.
So if you tell me, hey, providing is comfortable for me. I know how to do
Yes.
that. So I'm gonna go do
Yes.
that. If you tell me to protect, protecting is comfortable for me. I know how to do that. If you
Mm-hmm.
tell me, oh, be emotionally intelligent, I will look at you like you're crazy because it's like I've never had to do that before. Why? I was
And,
taught as a child, if somebody pisses you off, you take a swing. Like that's it. But
Yes.
the older you get, you
Yes.
start realizing this is not a healthy model of behavior. And you
Yes.
start trying to figure out, how do I actually function? And there are some people who they will find a healthier model and they will
Yes.
take steps to correct behavior. But
Mm-hmm.
there are also people who don't have that luxury. I mean, going back to
Yes.
the example of black men, and this isn't all black men. I know we contain multitudes, all of that, but
Right.
there are a lot of black men who grew up with single parent homes, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
black men who grew up in violent circumstances, all of this sort of
Yes.
stuff. So now you tell that man who has had to literally, physically, and mentally fight all of his life,
Yes.
hey, do something different.
Mm-hmm.
His reaction is, well, you're threatening who I am, so I'm going to do what I've always done. I'm going to fight.
Right. Right.
And you end up in the same place.
It's not just men who have to develop that emotional intelligence. Definitely women. I feel that as women, we've been given the space to be more vocal and to express our emotions, but it does not mean that we have also done it in healthy ways. So I don't want to just sit here and be like, "Oh, man, you're doing such such." You know what I'm saying? Because although when I was married before. I was married for 13 years. I was actually married twice. So I was
oh, I didn't
married
know that.
and yeah, I was married for 13 years the first time. We were super young.
Okay.
Like I must have been like 19 years old. Then the second marriage was a 6-year marriage. So I can't tell you how to stay in a marriage, but I know what leads to divorce. But we need to reframe things, or like you said, the whole I don't need a man really, and I'm just speaking for me, does not mean I don't need you if you in my life. Of course I need you. But it's saying that I'm someone that I can be alone. So when people threaten me about, oh, you're just gonna be alone, I'm like, that's not a threat to me. Like
Right.
I'm very at peace with myself. And there was a time I couldn't be alone. So I got it. I
Hmm.
understand it.
Okay.
That's not a threat to me to be alone because I have peace and I'm stable. I'm very secure in myself. Do I desire a relationship? Yes. But I think a lot of times when women are saying that, they're just saying, I'm not going to die because I don't necessarily have a man in my life and that I won't settle. I will wait on the person who shows up and I'm compatible with. And when we say we want someone emotional, when I say emotionally available, someone who can sit in my discomfort with me and I can sit in theirs. So, meaning
Okay.
someone that can be vulnerable, that we're both not operating from our ego, but that we can process our emotions and that we can work through things in a healthy manner, not just what was modeled to us, because sometimes what was modeled to us just was
Yeah.
not was not healthy. And just
No.
because our parents said that this is the way it is doesn't mean everything we were told was correct either, because sometimes people just had to do with how they had to do it because of the situation that they were in.
So I just want to add something small to that. I think when it's put in a way that a man doesn't need a woman doesn't need a man, it's almost like a rejection. It kind of goes back to
Mm,
the protection and the provision is not needed. So
mm,
it makes the man feel inadequate and powerless.
mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of times, like when you say it to, I think when you say that to maybe one of your girlfriends, it
Yeah, I
may
wouldn't
come
say it
off
to a man.
exact. But but
I
but
don't
but
talk to men like that.
yeah,
Right.
but those are conversations that are being had,
I get
unfortunately.
what you're saying. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's almost like it puts a man in a position of like it's either he's gonna say, "What do I have to do for you to need me?"
Mm.
Or it's like, "All right, well, you don't need me.
Well,
Let's cut this off."
Yep.
And you know, it's about the need, because if someone, I'm gonna be real honest, if a man says, I don't need a woman, that does not bother me. Like if he's like, I want one, I want to be wanted more than I want to be needed. Because to me, a need is such a burdensome thing, is that I know that someone needs me. Like when I was a mother, when I was a wife, I was a mother, I was the wife. I had all these roles. Everybody needed me. I love people who can come into the situation and they can like handle their business and need my support. Because sometimes when I hear need, I'm like, dang, you just gonna be pulling from me. You know what I'm saying?
But
Because
see,
So
what is the
the
thing?
funny thing, though.
One more thing, and I'll say,
Yeah, go ahead.
what is the need? Why does a man need a woman to need him so much? Why isn't that more complimentary to be like, I want you in my life? Because I have had a man who said, I don't know what to do because you don't need me. And I've always dealt with women who do. He said, and so I have to have a different level of confidence, he said, to date you. I mean, we're friends. We didn't go any further because I didn't need him the same way.
That's part of it. It's again, it goes back to ego, you know, like you have to have a different level of confidence, a different level of self-esteem, but it also goes to our, how do I say this?
I completely disagree.
What do you disagree with?
Well,
I think
let me finish, and then I'll let you.
Yeah.
So I think it goes back to like we've been saying, men are protectors and providers. These are needs. So we are built on what people need, basically. That's our fundamental drive. It's what do you need? What do you need from me? And if you don't need anything, I don't know how to move forward. Now, like speaking from person, like again, I'll speak to my own experience. I can speak all day to, all right, what are the things I need to do right now? But if you asked me right now, hey, what do you want to do? It's like, well, I don't, there's all this stuff that I have to do right now. Like I have to from a financial perspective, I have to from a health perspective, I have to from a mental and emotional perspective. But if you ask me what I want, what are the things that bring me joy? I can't necessarily answer those questions all the time. And you're saying you want somebody to want you. Well, if I'm not built that way, when you say, hey, do you want me? It's like, I mean, I guess at that point, and that's not what you want to hear. Right? Because in terms of wants, like there are certain things we want, but the things we want from you are very different from the things that we need from you. Right? In terms of when we're talking about men and women, again, heteronormative, all of that sort of stuff, all those caveats. But the things we want from you are very different than the things that we need from you. So when you say, hey, I want you to want me, we're like, I do, but I need you to need me as well. And so we're both looking for we're looking for the same thing in different ways, so to speak.
Yes, I agree.
So I will say this, right? Well, I'll kind of wrap this up into one big answer, right? I think when a man tells a woman, you know, I don't want you, or I don't need you, I think, and this is strictly my opinion from my experience, it's basically saying, a man is basically saying, I don't want to deal with your drama. I don't want to deal with the emotional aspect of it. I don't want to deal with the kind of the feelings wrapped around, because a dating relationship, and even taking it to a step further, marriage is work. And there are men out there that don't want to have to be vulnerable with women. They don't want to have to be emotional with women.
I have a question when you're done.
Oh, okay, yeah. They don't want to have to do that. So if men, not all men, certain men don't want to have to do that. What they say is I don't need a woman, which basically means I don't want to have to meet them emotionally. That's point number one. Point number two, and I'll speak on my own experience too, also, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just spoke about this at our super show a couple of weeks ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Speaking from a married man, right? I always try to. I learned this from previous relationships. I
Mm-hmm.
try to put my someone else's identity over mine, someone else's needs over mine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now I look at myself as I don't need anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
All I need is you is peace and you to be in my life. Someone I can be vulnerable with, somebody I can talk to, and someone that I can just my ride or die, right? But the
Okay.
thing is, women need to feel like they're needed, right? So when my wife asked me, what do you need, right? And Jay can attest to this. It took me a long time, still today, to tell her what I
Mm-hmm.
need because I felt like I can just go out and get it myself.
Hmm.
Mm.
We're
I don't
used to
need
providing
anything.
for
We're
ourselves.
used to providing for ourselves,
Then you
right?
should understand someone else who's used to providing for themselves.
E-
But that's not how we've
but
been
but
brought
that
up
that
to
but
interact with
see
other
but
We
people.
see
all gonna have to catch up.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, but I mean the thing is there's a difference of roles. Men are conditioned to provide, don't talk about your feelings, don't say anything. Women are conditioned to take care of the household, whatever you
Mm-hmm.
need, however you need it.
Mm-hmm.
What are the terms of you needing it, right? But
Yes.
I feel like now it's like nowadays men are needing so much from women. They're just saying, "Hey, I need this, and this," and it's almost like women are saying no.
So,
Women are saying, I need, like you said, Miss Janie, I need this, and this. And the thing about it is, men don't want to understand or learn how to do those things because it causes them to be out of their element. It causes them
Uh-huh.
to, it causes them to do react in a certain way.
That's how you
And
grow though. Jay,
correct,
you got a question?
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
he sort of got to my question. What's it called? Without me asking it, which was my question was going to be how much of that do you think is us not being conditioned for those things, not being taught those things, and therefore, what's it called? And therefore, we end up in the position where, hey,
Mm.
I want you to need me, but you
Mm-hmm.
no longer need me, and I
Mm.
no longer know how to interact with that.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, you want me to want you. I have for the longest time ignored my wants for what is
Mm.
necessary, what is
Mm-hmm.
what people need, and
Yeah.
therefore I can't interact with you on that level. So we keep doing this. We keep missing each
Mm-hmm.
other, and that's how you end up in these positions. Now, what I've experienced is a woman will try to work through this situation. Like,
Yes.
okay, why
Mm-hmm.
aren't we meeting up? Why aren't we meeting in the middle? Whereas a man, like you said, Phil, we don't want that baggage. To want
Right.
somebody is to want all of them, including their
That's
baggage,
right.
including their,
But
including their,
I think
all of that.
I,
And
but
Yes.
we don't want it because
but
it's
I think
to
yeah.
us unnecessary.
Yes.
Not only unnecessary, but I think there's a lack of trust.
Yeah,
I
that's a
think
big part of it too.
a lot of men aren't trusting certain women or the lack of trust because of what they've been through with women. So when a good woman comes along and tries to say, "Hey, be emotional with me, be vulnerable
Mm.
with me," they
Mm-hmm.
won't do it because they feel like it's judgment. The judgment
Mm-hmm.
you will judge them for making them feel a certain way when they don't want to have to go through that again because of the previously how they've been treated.
And it
And
goes back
yeah,
to what you said about what you do with your life prior to being in a relationship.
yeah,
Because to be honest, that's not just going to be impact your romantic and intimate relationships. That's going to impact all of your life. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? That what you
yeah.
just said was a lot of internal issues, the crossing and the what you were saying, and like not wanting to deal with the total person.
Yeah.
A person knows when you're getting a half commitment from somebody. Let me tell you that. They know when they just want, they just need you. I know when somebody needs me and I'm not, but they're not accepting all of me. And I'm like, well, hey, why should I be fulfilling these needs and you're not willing to sit in all my stuff? I'm not saying that I can just be any old type of way and you have to accept it. And when I talk about wanting you, I'm gonna give you an example. And this is a thing that some women encounter. You meet a man, and as soon as he comes into your life, he's trying to fix you and everything. You can randomly mention a leaky faucet, and you only know the man 2 weeks, right?
Mhm.
Oh, I'll fix that. Oh, I'll do your roof. Oh, I'll mount your TV. Oh, you need your oil changed. So then
Can
you're
I
like,
can I add to that? Actually, let me tell you why that happens.
okay,
That's femininity. A man views femininity as attraction. So a man sees a woman feminine wise as attraction.
okay.
So in order to get that certain level of attraction, the way a man attracts a woman is to see, in order for that attraction for a woman to reciprocate it back to a man, let me do these things for you.
Okay, I think that's manipulative.
But it happens. It happens. It
Okay, but
happens.
that's why would you be straightforward? Like, tell me what you need instead of trying to do
Rejection.
something for me to get it.
Rejection. Because
Okay,
if
then
you
whose problem is that?
but if you don't view him the same way he views you, and you say, hey, if he does all these things, and
No,
then
I
in
didn't
the
say
back,
he did it. He's trying to do it. And what I say is,
okay,
I
okay,
usually, some women will be like, fine, you want to fix everything, right? Because
okay,
she's like, I don't have to pay somebody, or you said that you'll do it and I can fix you a meal. I'm saying that a lot will show up and do that
okay.
as manipulation. I'm not saying
I
maybe they
agree.
don't think you should, but they're doing it to get a foot in the door. And also because they're like, let me fix all these. I got to show her that I can fix all of her needs. But I'm saying, slow down. Let
Okay, so
me connect with you.
okay, so let me ask, and that's what I wanted to ask. How much, in your opinion, how much of it is manipulation versus, because I think you're viewing it as, man, you're coming on too strong, right?
Too much too soon.
Okay, too much is true. Okay, so does that diminish the way you potentially can feel about him, or does it diminish the way you feel about him in that moment?
No, it only diminishes is if I vocalize and say, I would like you to slow down because, but I'm just like that personally with anybody. It's
Okay,
like
okay,
I don't feel it's a wall. I feel like I have boundaries. Like trust is earned. And so I'm saying that I
correct.
don't need you to come in and do so much for me. So if I say to you, oh yeah, I don't, maybe I'll allow you to do one thing, but I don't need you to do everything. It depends on their reaction to that. Some men are totally turned off and feel totally rejected, which is not my
Yes,
fault. That's your internal problem. You need to deal. Rejection is a part of life. That's how I feel. I'm going.
and let me
Yeah.
speak from experience.
Okay.
That's what men are conditioned to do to
But
impress
at
the
what
woman.
point will the conditioning be like, I need to grow, I need to find this as a time to grow? Because we can be
Based off of
conditioned for a lot of
ba-
things.
based off of the woman he's engaging with. If you can have, we've spoken about that. If you can have the vulnerable conversations to sit him down and say, hey, I like you the way you are. I'm
Mm-hmm.
accepting you for the way you are,
Right.
but I don't need this, and this, and this. It's almost like it's a pattern. It's a behavior. The
Yes.
way he's doing those things are the way and things he's been doing probably for the past 4 or 5 relationships.
Yes.
Point blank. So if you can sit, I'm
He ain't in
speaking
none of them.
I'm speaking
He might need to
for,
check the pattern.
huh? You say what? Oh.
I said that he ain't in none of those. He might need to check the pattern, but go ahead.
But it's hard. It's difficult to check a pattern within yourself. If someone
Very
tells
true.
you, if someone is telling you like, hey, dude, I'm feeling you. I like our time together, but what you're doing here, I don't need that. And that
Yeah.
helps a man. That guides a man on
Yeah.
saying, okay, she doesn't need all this. Let me do something different. And that's what a lot of men don't understand.
Yes.
They view that as rejection, and it's like, oh, you don't like me anymore, you don't want me anymore, which is a form of manipulation. Yes, you're right about that. But I feel like the conversations do need to be had as far as
Yes.
like, if you can sit a person down and say, hey, what you're doing right now, I appreciate it, I
Yes.
understand it, and
Yes.
you may even value that in the future because you know
Yes.
this man can do certain things within his household, right?
Right.
But as far as right now,
Yes.
slow down. I don't need it. I want to get to know you. Who are you? You know what I mean?
That's all I'm saying.
But
And then that comes to the want. That means I don't just like you for what you can do for me. I really like you, or I like your heart. That's what I mean by want.
correct.
That means I want you. I see what your flaws are, and I'm like, you know what? I can deal with that. So
But how do you
that's
respond to
wanting
him in telling him that though?
I tell
That's
him
the
just like
difference.
that.
But
I'm
you got to
sure you do.
understand. But I'll let you speak 1 second, Jay. But you
Okay.
got to
Yeah.
understand the way you will respond to him hasn't been the way he's been responded to that way before.
That
You got to
ain't my
remember.
fault.
I know. But it goes back to, there are certain dramas and things you want him to accept. A man can view that as that ain't his fault.
Well,
Right?
he can view what is not as his fault. That I asked him to slow down.
No. Remember, I'm going back to the conversation where you say you want the man to accept all of you. Some men view that as drama to say that's not his fault. That's just the way.
What's drama?
So okay. So a lot of men and women naturally bring certain baggage to dating and relationships, right? And sometimes a man and a woman can see
Oh,
that
okay.
baggage to say, I'm not dealing with it. That's not my fault. I'm not bringing that to the table. I shouldn't have to deal with it. We, as dating someone or even being in a relationship, we choose to be with that person, right or
Right.
wrong. But going back to the question at hand, the way you respond to a certain man on these certain patterns that he's been doing probably within the same 3 or 4 times, it's not the same way the past relationships have responded to him. He may have been ghosted, which is a form of rejection. She may have moved on to another man, which is a form of rejection. She
Okay.
may have exploited him or judged him. That's a
Okay.
form of rejection.
Okay.
So my point is the way you respond to a man
Mm-hmm.
is different than the way he's been used to being responded to in the past. And
Okay.
that's kind of my point of what I'm getting to.
Okay. Jay.
And excuse me. The other piece of that though, I don't want to sound like I'm taking the middle ground on this, but it's sort of what it is because both of you are right. It's not necessarily my problem. It's not your problem what the person in who you enter a relationship into brings to the table
Mm.
unless you decide to take that on. In the
Right.
same way, it's not their problem what you bring to the table
Yes.
unless they decide to take that on, right?
Yes.
But again, it goes to, like you said, that's what want is to you. It's like, hey, you see all my stuff and you're here anyway. You're making an active choice to engage with all of me, all of
Mm-hmm.
my mess, all of my foolishness, all of that.
Yeah.
But when you feel what you're saying in that the way she engages, the way a woman engages with you, or way a woman would engage with me, it's like my reaction to that is not necessarily her fault. It's just like you said, my reaction to that is a result of all of the baggage I am bringing.
Yes.
And when she does respond in a way that I'm not used to, that immediately is, like you said, the discomfort that we bump up
Correct.
against.
It's a
Yeah.
threat.
And it leads
It's
to
a threat. Yeah.
exactly, yeah, it's a threat at that point. It's like, I don't
Yeah.
understand this. I don't know what this is. This is
Right.
unfamiliar.
Yes.
And it triggers your fight or flight response immediately. It's like, all right, I'm either going to, like I said, start swinging or I'm a dip. Those are
Right.
my two responses.
Yeah.
Or
Now,
you can take the mature route and really look at it like, hey, no one has responded to me this way. Maybe I should take this person a little bit more serious
Mm-hmm.
and do
that
something
is the
different.
mature route. Yeah.
The mature route, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, because if I only like you or want you for what I need, needs change. And then what if I just all of a sudden you fulfill all these needs? I don't need you anymore.
Yeah.
Or what
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
came in with a job, you lose your job, you get hurt, you might be struggling, having problems. Now if I only needed you for that, for your provision, I'm not going to want you anymore. But if
Yep.
I really want you, the person,
Yep.
outside of all this stuff, I'm not going to be so easily like kicking you to the curb, or I don't want to deal with you
Yeah.
anymore. I'm still going to want you unemployed. I'm still going to want you because you didn't meet that goal. Because I
And
wanted you, not
mm,
necessarily what you could do for me.
And that's the
and I
pressure.
think,
That's
That's
icing
the
on
yeah,
the
pre-
cake.
and
that's
that's
the
like you
pressure right
said,
there. Yeah.
and that's the part that we don't know how to engage with, because like
Yep.
we said,
Yes.
we are taught,
Yes.
that, hey, your value is based on what you provide to the world. As boys, as men, it's what do you bring to the table and what do you bring to the world. If you
And
do not bring anything, you have no value. Sit down somewhere and be quiet.
yes, I learned that goes back to self-worth. That
Mhm.
means knowing you have to be very comfortable for somebody just to want you.
Mhm.
That means you have to be secure in
Mm,
yourself. That means you
mm.
have to know your own worth and your own inherent
The
value.
reason why I asked that is because I think we as men we are programmed and conditioned to guess,
Oh yeah, I
to
don't leave
try
you
to.
guessing.
Yeah, but that's what's going on, to guess on
No,
how she
that's
feels
true.
about me.
Yeah, because a lot of us just leave people to read our minds, but at what point are we coddling? I don't want to coddle somebody, but I also want to like help them as well, because I'll be like, if it ain't gonna work with us, maybe it'll work in the next relationship. So
So I wanna add to that because we spoke about this in Texas also, is the fact that it's very important that a man of value can be with a woman that can kind of uplift his goal and purpose,
Mhm.
encourage, support. And I think a lot of times is, and I've said this before, men of value date below their standards. They date downwards. So then when they try to speak to someone on a way of encouraging their values and supporting and uplift, they're dealing with someone who isn't there at that point.
Mm.
So
Yes,
it brings a lot of insecurity to the fact that
mm.
they'll try to bring you down to their level. You know what I mean? And
But I
and, and
think,
it, go ahead, Jay.
I think it's twofold though. Like, I think it's true that, and this is just what I've seen, not, you know, but women tend to date up, whereas men will tend to date down, right?
I never thought of that.
Mm.
We and but
you got
this is
Janie
something
thinking
I'm,
over there. Oh,
Wait a
really?
minute.
yeah,
No, play.
but here's the thing though. How much of that is tied into, like we were saying earlier, our belief of our inherent value? We date to who we believe we deserve, right? We don't date because it's
Mm.
like, oh,
Mhm.
I think I deserve, like, because if you believe you,
That's true.
let's throw some, like, and we'll use just celebrity names because they're the easiest to point to for everybody. Like Beyonce, I'm not gonna say anything about attraction or physical or anything like that, but
Okay.
Beyonce ended up with Jay-Z. When they ended up together, in their careers at least, Jay-Z was hitting his mogul status, and
Yes.
Beyonce was still an artist at that point, right?
Okay. Yeah.
She dated up. Meanwhile, you see rappers all the time who will just date this one girl I saw on Instagram who was fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, what does that say about who you
Mm.
believe you deserve?
That's good.
Now, you
Wow.
can you can say like, oh, at this point it's just a numbers game for me. I'm just having as much fun as possible. Cool,
Yes.
but do you believe you just deserve to run numbers, or do you believe you deserve a, like, someone who's your ride or die? Do you believe you deserve a ride or die, or are you just looking for numbers? Those
Mm.
are two completely
So you
different
feel like
mindsets.
men date down because they feel they deserve to be down.
I think men date down because they don't understand their inherent value.
Yes.
So
I
they
think,
feel their value. They feel their value is down.
yeah, I think we put it goes back to toxic masculinity, right? We
Yes.
will put on
How we
airs.
raise men. It's how we
We
raise
will,
men.
we
Good
will
point.
flex.
Good
We will
point.
do all this stuff to say, hey, look how
Good
much
point.
of a man I am. But on the inside, most of the time we are living up to some random
Yes.
standard we have set,
I'm
Yes.
not
taking
who
notes,
we
Jay.
think
I'm
we
taking notes.
actually are.
What I determined was only I can determine who I am.
Correct.
Yes.
Only
Correct.
me, not some social construct that someone said you should do this and you should do that and somehow everybody agreed on it, but like these social norms. Because once we get tied and locked into these roles, once you get into a romantic relationship or even just regular relationships, then all these things that this toxic things, they fall on us, and then we start playing them out. And as you get older, you notice that those things aren't working for you. And like we talked about patterns, you can be in that
Yeah.
same pattern, show
Yeah.
up and fix the
Yeah.
leaky roof, do this and do that. Even women show up
Yeah.
and cook him a meal, show him how good you look and do this, and you never stop. And sometimes we heal because we stop and say, why do I keep ending up in the same place?
Mhm.
I'm doing the same thing over and over and over again, because that's what we do. Our brain goes to what's familiar and we do the same thing over again until we finally get it right. And that could be to the day you die. So at
Mhm.
what point, like you said, Phil, he stops and goes, wait a minute. No woman ever said, wait a minute, slow down. I don't need you to fix everything in my house. I just want to,
Yeah.
us to spend time together and connect, and I get to know you better, and then you can slowly start, and that's how you can develop an emotional relationship with somebody, because you begin to feel comfortable instead of
Yeah.
not just performing for love, like, let me fulfill all these needs. I don't know who you are. All I know is that you can fix everything, but who are you really?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
sometimes people don't know who they are. That's why they're
Yeah.
doing all those
That's
things.
the other piece
Because
of
Yeah.
if
it.
I slow down, she's not gonna like me, because he probably don't like himself, you know?
Exactly.
And
And
it's like,
then and
let me keep doing stuff. But
yeah,
how
you're
long can
creating
you
an
keep doing
expectation
stuff?
that you can't keep.
Yes. And you
You're
can't
creating
keep
an
it up.
you can't keep it up.
Yes. About what is, in both of your opinion, we can wrap it up this way. What is healthy masculinity and what is a modern man?
Healthy
So
masculinity. I think Jay kind of calls me healthy masculinity. I think for me is that you gotta kind of be able to be true to yourself. Not
mhm.
only and always having kind of an ear to the ground, right? You
Yes.
and kind of incorporating that with caring about others,
Mm-hmm.
thinking about others. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Understanding that um, not only um, not only like caring about yourself. How can you elevate yourself? How can
Mm.
you like doing? I even spoke about it a couple weeks ago. Doing affirmations. How
Yes.
can you continue to have a healthy mindset? How can you feel like, because once you can get over that way of like the world is against you kind of mentality,
Mm.
it becomes an excuse because it's too many other opportunities out here to feel like the world is against you. Well, maybe the world is against you in that specific niche. Maybe you
Yes.
need to find a different niche. Maybe
Right.
you need to find a different person you need to be with. If you don't
Right.
like the way someone's treating you in certain situations, why do you
Yes.
continue to take it? You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think a lot of healthy masculinity is just coming to an understanding that how do you, like we spoke about it, Miss Janie B, is like how do you respond to people? How do they respond back?
Yes.
Can I or you trust this person with my vulnerabilities? Can
Mm-hmm.
I trust you without being feel judged? And that's what a lot of healthy masculinity is, right? And I feel like it's let's just keep it real. The way I would talk to my wife is totally different than the way I would speak to Jay. And I
Yes.
feel like a lot of relationships now want to be able to blend the two. You can't do that.
Mm.
You just can't. You can't do that. You've got to be able to talk to someone that can, yes, I can trust you with this information, but
Mm.
how are you going to react towards it, right?
Mm.
And also being able to just be yourself, man.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping, and I've been speaking a lot on this on the podcast, is keeping your identity,
Mm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
keeping up with who you are within a relationship that person also understands your
Okay.
identity.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So healthy masculinity to me is just being yourself, keeping your identity, and having your ear to the ground to be able to at least care about others, be humble towards others, and
Mm-hmm.
just being able to have a conversation with your partner and other people.
Jay.
To me, I would say the healthy man or the modern man understands his power.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like a lot of what we're talking about right now is all about understanding what you actually bring to the table and what you are capable of,
Mm.
right? Like all of the, oh, this is uncomfortable. Oh, I'm not sure I want to do this. Let's
Mm-hmm.
be real about it. It's because we're afraid. So
Mm.
we're afraid to deal with that thing. And the reason
Mm-hmm.
we're afraid is because I've never done that before. I don't know if
Mm.
I can.
Right.
Whereas if you understand your power, like I don't often listen to Steve Harvey, but he said something once that stuck with me, and it's like, count every bad day you've had
Mm.
and you are undefeated again. If you're still standing here right now, you're undefeated
Mm.
against every bad thing
That's
that has
good.
come up against you,
That's
right?
a
That's
good
really
point.
good.
So you have won. You may not realize it, but you've been
Yeah.
victorious in that you've made it through. So if
Yes.
you come to that understanding of, okay, I have more power than I even give myself credit for, then
Right.
when the uncomfortable thing does come up, it's like, all
Mm-hmm.
right, yes, this is uncomfortable,
Mm.
but you've been in uncomfortable positions before. So push through it, deal with
Right.
it, work through it.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
Yes.
of course, you're going to need help in some of these situations, which is why you rely on your partner. You talk
Mm-hmm.
to your person, whoever that is,
Yes.
and you come to that place of, hey, let's grow through this, as opposed to that looks hard, let me go the other way.
Right.
When you understand the power you have, and this isn't just a man thing, this is an everybody thing. When you
Mm-hmm.
understand the power you have over a given situation, over all of the things you've overcome, then the other stuff, I don't want to say the other stuff becomes small, but it
Mm.
becomes more manageable. It
Mm.
becomes less frightening. It doesn't become less uncomfortable because the discomfort is going to be there. It's always going to be there.
Yes.
But your ability to overcome it builds. That's how you
Mm.
build things like resilience. That's how you build resilience by building experience, basically.
Right.
And and when we're talking about masculinity or manhood, like the not to say I'm like the ideal healthy man or the most modern man out there, because I'm not. There are
Mm-hmm.
still things that I will see and I will turn around and walk the other way. There are still things that I'm not
Yeah.
willing or ready to go through,
Mm.
and I understand that about myself. But I
Mm-hmm.
also understand I will get to that point where it's like, that's not a big deal.
Mm.
Like, okay, so she said something that bumps up against my traditional idea of who I am as a man. Okay, she's not attacking me. Well, some people are attacking, and you
Yeah.
have a difference.
That's
But
right.
if this is a person who I know and recognize loves me for me, that's where
Yes.
the value comes in. If I
Yes.
recognize I have inherent value and she's seeing that inherent value and she loves me for that, then when
Mm-hmm.
she says something that doesn't necessarily feel comfortable, I can
Yes.
I can have a conversation about it, as opposed to let's start swinging.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good. I thank you both. I totally appreciate this conversation. It was really good. I can't wait for it to air, and I would love to have you guys back. If you want to let them know exactly where they can find you, the name of your show, and the days that you maybe post.
I'm Philosophikal from LetsRap podcast. You can right now I'm working on my Instagram. It's been issues there, but if you want to hear if you want to hear more of our content of the LetsRap podcast, we are on YouTube and we are also on Instagram at LetsRap podcast. We air every Fridays on Freedom Fridays
Oh, cool.
and every Sunday. And sometimes some surprise things like Echo Chamber on Wednesdays, and some of our super shows have been broadcasted on Mondays also. So we try to
Yeah.
give a lot of content to our viewers out there. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Miss Janie B, for allowing us on the show tonight.
Yes, you're welcome. Of course.
Thank you.
And I am Jay Ecko on Instagram. I don't really have I also have a Facebook, Jay Ecko.
Okay.
I do not currently have Twitter. I think I have one floating around, but I haven't been on it for a
Right.
while. So I'm trying to get that squared away. And I, yep, those are the main ones that I'm on is Instagram and Facebook right now.
Okay, great. Perfect. All right. So I'll be in touch soon so we can do another
Thank you.
show. Is that okay?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
most definitely.
All right, great. Have a good night. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Be sure.